Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Mignot. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interviewed 29 amazing Black women for Black History Month. And today I am super delighted to have Tahiirah Habibi, who's the founder and CEO of the Hue Society.
Hi.
Hi, Tahiirah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I've been interviewing people for quite a bit this month. But I look at it as I made 29 new friends or more because I technically am over 29 at this point. And I'm super delighted to have you on the show. The first question is always the same, answer is always amazing. I'm sure yours will be no different. So Tahiirah, what was your first job?
My first job, my first paid job, because I was an unofficial paid babysitter. But my first job was actually, I worked at this music center. It's an outdoor music venue in Philadelphia, which was perfect because I love music and I grew up with my grandmother. So I grew up with a bunch of like old school music, which I have passed on to my daughter, by the way. But I was an usher at this music venue and it was great. It was perfect.
Oh, okay. So we got the usher thing down. And it was in the land of music. So you were like, all right, this works. And I'm guessing you were in high school.
Yeah, so in Philly, I'm from Philadelphia. They had these things called not work studies. I forgot exactly what it's called. It's like, it was a city program that you were able to start working when you were 15. So I was 15.
So yes, so a bit young. Either way. All right. So we go from being a really awesome usher to where we are now. What was that career journey like?
Oh, so I worked my way through college. And, as I look back on like all the things I'm about to say, they all connect, which is wild. But I worked my way through college. I worked at the Paul Robeson Center. So just was immersed in Blackness. And then after college, I got into hospitality, which, if you think about my first job was really hospitality as well. And I started my wine career. I've always done events. So I worked for UPenn for a little while as an events office. And then I started bartending. And then I landed a job at a Kimpton hotel as a hostess. And that's when I started my wine studies back in 2009, 2008, 2009. And so from that journey of being able to work as a hostess during the day and take wine courses at night, I finished up my certifications in Philly. I moved to Miami in June. By December, I had my first professional job as a sommelier opening the St. Regis Bal Harbour.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is it didn't take long. You just said, I got this.
Oof. I mean, no, that sounds a lot more simplistic than it was. What's crazy is like during it, there was a time period where I was homeless in between bartending and the hostess thing. And then, I was kind of homeless again when I moved to Miami because I just got up and left Philly. I had a plan for my career, but I did not have a plan for how that was going to unfold. I had faith. And so when I moved to Miami, I didn't even have a place to live. I had not secured an apartment. I was able to transfer my job from being a hostess to within the same company working as a cocktail server while I still studied for my certifications. And because I was working as a cocktail server, everybody knew I wanted to be a som, and that was my end goal. This was not the end all be all for me. I wasn't complacent at all. So I was, studying my behind off at work. I had flashcards tucked into my bra. Like I was very serious about becoming a som. I just didn't know that I was going to start my career at such a high level.
Black women.
And then there's also this sense of like terror that followed me around because I was starting my career at such a high level, because at the time I was, during that time period, there were not a lot of Black soms and there were not a lot of women soms. And I was a Black woman in Miami. I didn't see anybody else that looked like me. I didn't even know other Black soms existed really until like Instagram started popping off. And so it was terrifying and it was a lot of pressure. And I got put through the ringer. So, I had this incredible opportunity. I learned so much. I gained a skill set that is unmatched. honestly. And I was already really good at, my job. But at the same time, I was being tormented every day, like racist comments, just all kinds of like horrible things that were happening. And I was also just consistently losing myself in the machine, trying to accommodate for that, trying to make up for what I looked like and who I was and who I wanted to be, and whether or not I really deserved to even be in this luxury space, because, everybody was kind of rejecting it in one way or another. And so that was, pretty traumatizing. But then when I finally started coming home to myself, I became an entrepreneur in 2015, and everything changed, including me. And I've never gone back to that version of myself where I felt like I needed to shrink. I never went back to trying to please anybody, whether or not somebody liked me. I had already traded off all of these parts of myself to be accepted. And once I got free, I've been free. I show up as myself at all times. My people find me. People know what to expect from me. They know that I'm not going to code switch. They know I'm not going to come into this room and, play your games or any of the rest of that stuff. They know that I'm not going to necessarily back down from anything. I move with integrity, and I expect people around me to do the same. And so from that, I've been able to build a really wonderful community, an incredible career, many accolades, and all of that kind of stuff. But when I was started leaning into my authenticity and, kind of took back my autonomy and gave myself the audacity, the 3 A's that I live by, my life changed, and I'm free. And I'm just trying at this point to free as many other people as I can.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And also, kudos to you for sticking with it, because when we get in these spaces, when it's just us and everybody else is not like us, to quote Kendrick,
It made it into the convo.
this is the first time I've actually gotten into one of these interviews. This is kind of amazing. Is that like folks don't know how to act? They really don't know how to act. And they think they're going to bully us out of it. It's like, you worked your behind off to become a sound. There's no way you're going to, yeah, let me take my skills and go home and play somewhere else. Are you crazy? So talk to us about what the Hue Society does now.
So when I initially started in 2015, it's because I was fed up with the industry and the way it looked and all of those things. And so my goal was to introduce wine to us through our lens. I knew that the reason why Black people were not that engaged in it was because we didn't see ourselves. We didn't feel like it was for us. It was a part of us, any of those kinds of things. And so one of the first things I did was I started doing events, going back to, my event skills through our lens. So I started doing culturally rich events, wine events, and through our music, our food, art, all of that stuff. Like I said, I wasn't changing anymore. I was not adjusting to the world. So I was like, well, the wine world is going to adjust to us. And I've been forcing it to adjust to us ever since. And so my first event was a wine and reggae festival. I had it in Miami. 3,000 people showed up. Definitely didn't plan for that. So while it was a success, it was a failure on some levels too, because, I wasn't expecting that kind of turnout. And then when I realized that I had proof of life and proof of concept, and I knew that this is exactly what I thought was happening, was exactly what needed to happen. Like, people just needed to be able to relate to it. I said, okay, how can I expand this across the country? And so I reimagined what the Hue Society was going to look like. And my initial concept was called Sipping Socials, because I just wanted to do social events just to prove that we wanted to be in the wine space. So when I reimagined it, it became the Hue Society. And this was back when Jay-Z had dropped his album 444. And I'm a huge Jay-Z fan, not only from a musical perspective, but from a business perspective. And so he drops this album, and, I'm very pro-Black, and I always have been. Again, going back to my job at the Paul Robeson Center, like, I just grew up in that community. I was privileged enough to grow up around Black people that love being Black.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get into these spaces, you realize not everybody has that privilege. And so I was like, all right, I got to name this thing. Like sipping socials is not powerful enough. It's not encompassing enough. Like what are we going to do with this? And then, I'm listening to the album and I knew I wanted to kind of start a society. I knew I wanted to start a society. And he had this lyric in a song. He said, "What's better than 1 billionaire too, especially if it's the same hue as you?" And I said, that's it. Hue.
Uh-huh.
Hue Society. But also it's a double entendre, right? Like we're not just talking about the hues of wine, we're talking about the hues of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created this space where people were able to have one space where they could just come home. You could find all of the wine professionals, enthusiasts, like from consumers to winemakers to somms, like all of us just really focused and centered around community. And so what we do now, outside of like having events, one of the main things is I have chapters across the country, and I have 2 international chapters, one in Italy and one in South Africa. And, these are just these little communities that are autonomous, and, we provide access and resources. I use my leverage in the industry to do anything from scholarships to, we do a ton of programming every month, and then the individual chapters do programming. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to watch, like how healing it is just to have a space for someone who is coming off of one of these jobs, because, we do have to play the games at times. We don't have a choice. Again, that's a privilege too, being able to show up as yourself. It's a huge privilege. But to be able to come somewhere and take that mask off and just be around your people is also such a beautiful healing experience. And that's just what I wanted for everybody. I wanted to be able to offer everything I needed coming up. And so we have the chapters. And then the other main component is that we do events. So we'll do dinners across the country, very bespoke, intimate kind of dinners based off of different winemakers or themes or any of these categories. And we do this huge wine festival every summer. We're going into year 7. It's called the Wine and Culture Festival. And it's going to be in DC this year. And it's incredible. It's, you twerking with your burgundy, and like, why not? Right? Like we have these DJs, we have people fly in from all over the country, and it's such an authentically beautiful experience. And it's not like anything else that, is out in the market. It's not a festival where, you're just coming to get sloppy drunk. It's very intentional. You're with your people. You come as you are, you come as yourself. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to look, talk, any of that stuff a certain way. You're eating our food, enjoying, Black brands, from everything from Black brands to, super high end luxury brands, depending on the sponsorship. And it's been proven over and over again that this works. Like authenticity works, being yourself works, and people are craving that, especially in this year. So I'm really excited about the festival this year. It's in July from the 17th through the 20th. And, that's the work. It's joy. The work is centered around joy. And I feel like anytime we show up and we are able to claim some joy, it's also a reclamation of all of those times where we had to trade ourselves, just to be accepted in minor ways.
That's amazing. And thank you for doing what you're doing. Because I think so often folks are like, well, I have to conform to be in this group. Like, no, just come as you are
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy what we have here. And this is a space for you as well.
Yeah.
And don't ever think about it. You cannot quote unquote fit in. Well, like again, remember it's like if there's no seat at a table, you can bring a folding chair, or you can just build a new table. I'm on the side of build a new table.
Oh yeah, I'm always on the side of built new table. I don't want to be at a table with people who don't want me there. I'm done with that era of trying to break into things that, people. It's the difference between breaking a barrier and trying to break into a room that you genuinely are not wanted at, and, pulling up a chair at that table. You're not messing with my nervous system like that. Like I want peace and joy. That's not peaceful or joyous to me. That is a nervous system that's percolating and, trying to find out why are we here? Why are we doing this? And it's just like we can build our own stuff. So there's no need to do that anymore. There's enough of power and resources within us. And when we start leaning into that and realizing it, There's no need to, drag a chair to a table that's already on fire. I'm not sitting here and burning myself out trying to prove to you. That's crazy.
I'll be over here. Thanks very much. Right over here.
No.
Sit in my very good Barolo. So,
Right.
so, it's interesting because I love wine. I don't know a lot about wine. I know what I like, and I know what I don't like. And it's fitting that this is probably going to be one of the last interviews I do for 29 days because it's one of the things, my favorite things, wine. So I literally built my business on wine and French fries. I'm quoted many times about the fact that wine and French fries meetings of dozens and dozens of people when I first started in the business. So yeah, So for folks out there who, have to go out and go to dinners and stuff for work, what are some, and they have no idea what to order. What are some, you can't screw this up. If you order this, you will not look stupid at the table. Like a good red and a good white.
Burgundy.
And Burgundy.
So if we're talking about bottles, Burgundy. Now, and the reason why is I go in here understanding that when you order a red Burgundy, you're ordering a Pinot Noir, which, it generally is pleasing for a lot of people. If you're ordering a white Burgundy, you're ordering a Chardonnay, which again is pleasing for most people. But being able to find a Burgundy, which is a place in France, that's how they label their wines, being able to say Burgundy, get a Burgundy, what you're doing is you're looking at the menu. A lot of times people have it grouped by place. If you look under France, you'll see something, you'll see the name of the producer and then, something Burgundy, or it'll have the place where it's from. Or, ordering a French wine, but then you're getting into names in other languages. And so that's why I say Burgundy, because it's easy to pronounce. For us, it's a color and we know how to say it very easily. And all you got to do is say white, I'll have a white Burgundy, or I'll have the red Burgundy. And you point. You ain't even got to embarrass yourself with going into trying to pronounce the producer's name and, speak French and all the rest of that. I'll have the red Burgundy. That's so impressive.
Oh, all right. Okay. Good to know. And now taking this a step further. So, okay, you now have developed a good palate for your wine, and you want to start buying stuff to begin to have some things at home so that when you're entertaining, what's a good starter to have? What are the 2 or 3 bottles you should always have in your home when you're entertaining to not look like you're super bougie, but bougie enough?
I would say you should always have a sparkling. It doesn't have to be champagne. I think that cavas are extremely underrated and just as
Cava.
and also you can do cava either way without feeling like you're going to scream if you see somebody pour orange juice or juice in it, because you drinking champagne and somebody pours juice in it, you're like, I know you lying. I know. I know you ain't just pour juice in $100 bottle of wine. But kavas, I think, go very easily with guests, and when you go into somebody's house, a lot of times you feel celebratory in one way or another. It doesn't have to be these big things, but we're girl, I ain't seen you in a minute. Let's have a glass of sparkling wine. It's just elevating. It elevates your mood. It makes you feel good. So I would definitely say that. I think that blends are brilliant because it appeases a lot of people. So having a good blend, whether that is a good blend from California or something from France, the south of France, blends are really easy to navigate for people. And if you're going to do a white, a lot of people love Sauvignon Blanc. Now I'm beefing with Sauvignon Blanc right now. It is. I can't.
Okay.
I can't deal. I'm just over it. But Sauvignon Blancs are wonderful and brilliant. And most people start their wine journey with Sauvignon Blancs, once they get past the sweeter wines. And so Sauvignon Blancs could be very serious, or they could be, lovely, light and fruity. But most people like Sauvignon Blancs. And by most people, I mean probably everybody except for me. So if you need to have a white, and also those are all affordable wines, because the other truth is you don't really want to be busting out your great bottles of wine for people who are not going to appreciate it. And so to reduce that anxiety, having some high quality, affordable, Sauvignon Blancs, blends, and cavas will save, you and your guests a lot of unspoken tyranny.
Well, no, and thank you. 'Cause I think it's important because I think folks are going out more than we've seen in the last few years, too, but also are entertaining more into like turning their homes into that sort of third space where you can bring people together again and don't know what to do. And I know I've been to many a party where I'm like, where did you get this awful wine? Like, listen, I have been to Napa. Like, I have been to Italy. Like, what? No, what are you doing?
Right.
So,
Try to stay away from like mass produced wines that have yeah. I mean, if you're trying to genuinely entertain, there are ways that, Trader Joe's has a wonderful selection of wines, by the way.
oh yeah, I remember in the olden days when they had their $2 check. We used to use that when we first started doing our events.
Yeah.
Like, no one knew it was $2 check. They're like, oh, this tastes good. I'm like, because it's good.
Yeah, there are ways to get like good wines and make sure that you don't have people side eyeing you like, girl, I'm definitely a person that I'm not like snobby about wine, but I'm just snobby about what I put in my body in general. And so if I already know this is gonna give me a hangover, I'll pass. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, I mean, at the Beekman Hotel here in New York, they used to do this really amazing special where you get a glass of Barolo in this obscenely large wine glass. And so basically it was like 3 glasses of wine in one. And I was like, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was also stupidly expensive. But it hit the spot all the time. Then that's when I fell in love with all things Barolo. But I have not find a white where I'm like, oh my god, I have to have that whenever I want to go out. Like I'm on the Barolo chain. I will not leave. But on the white side of the universe, whatever. So I will do a Sauvignon Blanc. They didn't kick my puppy. Damn, there. It's like,
listen, palates evolve, okay?
I get it. Listen, yeah, I used to drink $2 shots. Now I drink not $2 shots.
Marolos.
So once you go out somewhere and someone who's like a snobby word person, it's like, try this. You're like, okay, like, oh, this is the good stuff. So I get it. I've learned and evolved. So thinking about all the really cool things that you've done and what you've been able to build in a space that largely isn't for us, but now is becoming more and more for us with the advent of all these new, Black owned brands. What do you think you tell 18-year-old Tahiirah?
18-year-old Tahiirah. Wow, 18-year-old Tahiirah was a mess, child. She didn't know what was going on in the world. I would tell her, everything, the same thing I tell 18-year-old Tahiirah every day when I wake up. Everything will work out exactly the way it's supposed to, even if you don't know how.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And necessary for folks to understand. Thank you for sharing that one.
Yeah.
Now, you do so much work, but what do you do for you? Like, what do you do for your self-care?
That's the second time I got the question this week, and I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something.
But this might be a sign, my friend.
You know what? I have an 8-year-old, so it is kind of hard to take time and say, this is what I'm doing only for me, because I'm a solo parent. But I think I meditate a lot. I try to make sure that I am even killed in a lot of ways. Like I meditate. I try to make sure that my mind is healthy, that my body is healthy. I work out, and I love clothes. So yeah, I'll shop. That's what I do for me. I love getting dressed. So if I see something cute, I'm buying it. And even if I ain't supposed to, I might let it sit. I've learned to let it sit for maybe a day or two. But if I go back to it and it's still a glimmer in my eye, I'm getting it. And that's what I do for myself because I like shopping. And it's wild because we also grew up in an era. I'm 42. We also grew up in an era where people will call you shallow for liking things, anything that's external. It's just like, oh, you're so shallow. All you care about is clothes, blah, blah. And then, again, it's like part of coming into this version of yourself, you're like, no, that actually brings me joy. I actually like feeling good. Like, you look good, you feel good. You throw some clothes on. I love fashion. I love,
looking fabulous.
like, yes. And I had to come to terms with the fact, I used to feel really guilty about that all the time. I had to come to terms with the fact, like, no, actually, you work really hard. You deserve a treat every once in a while, because I buy like statement pieces. So it's not like, I'm shopping every day and I'm just buying like t-shirts and stuff like that. And you earned it. It's not like, you know, you don't have nothing to prove for nobody. You're not getting dressed for nobody else. Like, that's what I do for myself. When I look good, I feel good. So when my mind is steady, I'm on my affirmations and my meditation every day and all of that stuff. Like, now I can function and I can show up in the world. And as a parent, the way that makes me feel the most empowered. So I think that those things are important. But child, I haven't been on a vacation I travel a lot, but I haven't actually
Gone for
intentionally
you.
vacation in like 2 years.
So we need to fix this. Even
Yeah.
if it's a weekend, like a spa weekend somewhere, a nice little resort. I'm a big fan of Miraval and the Berkshires, and just go sleep for 3 days. And
Oh my God, that sounds like a dream, child.
like that, I'm going to suggest this to you. You can do Friday and leave on Sunday morning. It'll change your life.
Yeah, text me that information.
Information like you can sleep all day. The beds are really comfy, but also they have, if you want to go for like little like hikes, sit by the pool, do some yoga, some archery, some bird watching, or literally just sleep. And the spa there is out of control. Like it's the spa was designed by Restoration Hardware, so just imagine what it looks like. So I'm just making a recommendation that's a way to ease yourself into vacation. I've done this with a number of folks over the years. Like, do look a little weekend away and see how nice that is. Now add another day, and then add another day, and then before you know it, you've got 7 days.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I got a kid, but I'm gonna work on getting like figure it out the how.
Again, Black women, this is what we do. We figure this out. So you will.
Yes, yes.
And I also want to applaud. I want to say that I think you're one of the first people this year who said, I just like buying nice shit as part of my self-care. And I'm like, because I am on that train now too. I generally didn't used to do that because, or I would put it away. And then I only wear on special occasions.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like,
I am the special occasion.
Yeah, yes, you are the special occasion. And if you want to break out your Louis, your Gucci, your YSL, please do.
Yes,
yes. You go to the grocery store, go ahead. Like,
and you know what else I always think about, which is really funny, but it's also ridiculous. Is like, is this gonna be my ghost outfit? Like walking around in this feather.
Well, that is that is a new one. I hadn't thought about that, but that's actually kind of interesting because what's your ghost outfit gonna be? Like robe, like some like Old Navy pajamas, or like at the very that actually is an argument for fabulous pajamas though.
Yes,
because like
it's an argument for feeling good about yourself all the time,
right? All the time.
That's it.
Yeah, whatever you feel the best in, you should wear.
Yeah,
in your home, you should feel fabulously comfortable.
You should, because you don't need to get dressed for anybody else. You need to, your vibration rises when you feel good. And when you're vibrating at a high level, you attract high vibrational things. And that's just it. So whatever it is that makes you feel the highest, the best, if it is painting your nails, if it's just little things, but those little things contribute to it. They add to your vibration. They add to those attractions. Like, you feel good. So it doesn't have to be clothes. It could be doing your nails. I hate doing my nails. So I'll tell you right now, that's going to put me in a slump. But some people genuinely love that. Like, I think you should do what makes you feel good, regardless, not for anybody else, regardless what anybody else thinks or says about it. Like, you know, what's whimsical to you?
Honestly, you have to find the whimsy. It's funny you talk about nails. Like, my nails are sort of my the easiest, lowest hanging fruit for my self-care, where it's like, if you ever see me without my nails done, things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. Because like that's my baseline. I get my nails done, every 2 or 3 weeks. It's always a bright color. Similarly, if you saw me wearing dark colors, if you see me wearing dark colors anytime, things are also not going good because I normally wear bright colors. And you're right, like I've seen it in my own life where the higher the vibration you get when you put on something that makes you look and feel so good for yourself. And then you're like, wait, that was a fabulous day. And it all started when I put on this lovely outfit.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes. Like that's the whole thing. Like we got to stop doing this external thing. Like what made you feel good, today? But even talking about like your ghost outfit, your body, like, do you feel good about your body? And what steps are you taking to feel good about your body? Because that could also be your ghost outfit. Like, I just think we, especially women, we don't give ourselves enough grace and we don't embrace the little joys. We save the little joys in those moments. We try to save them for some grandiose thing. And it's just like, no, if you're not leaving the house the entire week you work from home, you don't have to leave the house. You can still do your nails because every time you look at them nails, it's gonna bring you some joy, even if it's just a little bit. And I think we just need to like lean into that and embrace that. And that the more we decenter everyone else and be selfish, for those moments, it's okay. Give yourself permission to do that. It's important.
I mean, that is the center about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not feeling good, you will not be your best.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about you. It's not about anybody else. Like this military service is for you. Like you want to make sure that you're walking into any battle, and whether that's at your computer or out the door to look fly, it's yours. And you shouldn't think that you have to decenter yourself. But you are the main character in your own story.
Yes. You are the star, darling. You are the
The
star.
star, always the star.
And you're the one who's watching this movie 24/7. So what you want, like, what do you want to look like? What do you want to feel like? What do you want this, what's your character development doing? Like, where are we going?
Storyboard your damn life and make it look fly. That's all.
Yes.
It's so necessary. Thinking about all of that, do you have a give and or an ask of the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for people to come out to the festival. I think it's a great opportunity to connect with community, with me, with each other. But also, it's not the festival's not just about wine, it's about culture, it's about community. We're going to have so many beautiful panels and roundtable and master classes and all that kind of stuff. And it's not all centered around wine. Some stuff is branding and business. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to support. So, if you can support the festival, we're always looking for sponsors because it's hard out here, especially with the demon in office, rolling back everything. And if you come to the festival or buy a ticket for a friend or, any of those kinds of things, like I would love the support. I think that, right now is a time where we really need to lean inwards and support each other as much as possible. And so that these things that have been happening for the last few years can continue to happen in this very important time of ours.
Awesome. Say the date and location and times again so folks remember.
The Wine and Culture Festival will be in DC this year, July the 17th through the 20th. You can pick any of those days or all of those days. The festival will generally run from around 11 a.m., meaning the panel discussions, more business stuff, through about 11 o'clock at night. So it's an all-day thing with some breaks, and it's very structured, and it's a beautiful experience. So I hope to see you there.
You probably will. Well, I'm not somewhere weirdly traveling. I will be there because again, it's my two favorite things.
I'm on the calendar now.
Wine and more wine. So
right.
Well, fantastic. I'm so glad that I will put all the details in the show notes for folks to connect with you about buying tickets and hopefully sponsoring and helping amplify this incredible festival that you've been building over the years, because folks need to be here and see it and enjoy it. And I know how insane it is to run a conference and to do one from 11 to 11 over 3 days. I tip my hat to you, but also good on you. So, 'cause I not anymore in my universe couldn't do that. So folks who do that, I'm like, yes, let's support and get you out and let people know that you dope as hell. And then last question, what's one thing that brings you joy?
My relationship with my daughter, it's so pure and just honest and loving, and she acts just like me, so we be going at it, boy. I'll tell you that. Woof.
Did you clone yourself into small
Like,
parts before?
yeah, it is like raising yourself, but I get so much joy out of getting the opportunity to do it right this time. And so while I'm nurturing her, I am also nurturing my inner child and that kid that needed the love that I'm able to give to her and the relationship that I'm able to give to her. And so that brings me so much joy. And I tell her that all the time, even after a fight. And imagine the fact that I'm fighting with an 8-year-old, but you know, even after a fight, I'll tell her, I say, I'm upset with you right now, but I still love you. And, you doing something that irritates me doesn't change that, and it never will. And I always tell her, like, I really love our relationship. I love how honest we are with each other. I love how much we trust each other. I love that you trust me to tell me stuff that you did wrong and that I'm able to, be a projector for you. And how supportive she is of me. She writes me love notes all day and like them in places like I love you, or like she'll write a letter like, I can't believe how much you love me, mommy, or just stuff like that. And sometimes I'll be feeling like I'm struggling, but she always brings me back to, knowing that at the end of the day, she genuinely feels loved and cared for. And that brings me so much joy.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's the best. Algira, as I said before, I ended up talking for like hours, and because you're my kind of people. I cannot wait to meet you in person. Thank you so much for being part of the 29 Days of Magic. Like what you're doing is so necessary, wonderful, fabulous, and beautiful. And like I said, all we can is support and let folks know what you're up to, because hell yeah. So thank you so much for being part of 29 Days of Magic.
Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful.
Awesome. And that's our show.